Welcome back, everybody. We are here with the Balanced Test Map Tournament. Number 1, the plan is to have a few tournaments like this to get a feel on what the new changes will look like with the help of a couple of pros as opposed to just, every day on the custom map scene where it is right now. Eventually they want to have a, an actual matchmaking system like the ladder, which is going to be really cool and help things out, but that isn't implemented quite yet. Hey, Fear Dragon. You might be muted.
Hey, how's it going?
It's good.
Production.
Yeah, awesome, amazing. Okay, so yeah, wanted to quickly go over the Matcherino thing, of course, because this is funded by Matcherino. You can see here, I have all the settings and whatnot because I'm an admin, but that's, the code for today is birthday. I do believe we still have quite a few of those to use. The reason that it's birthday is not because it's my birthday, by the way, as some people have now made almost a meme out of, but that it was Rifkin's birthday like a month or two ago, and the code messed up at the time, so they had a spare 100, so that's where we're using it. But the point is, you click donate, you put in the coupon code, it doesn't take anything from your account or from your bank or anything like that, and just adds $1 to it. So we already have a couple people adding in more than just $1, which is awesome. Cuckoo Man donates $11, Balance Mod Hype, Extreme Purple donates $10, Hard Revenge donates $6, Happy Birthday Zombie Grub, Higgins donated $5. Probably missed a few more. You can see everyone contributing their $1, which is awesome. And of course, BaseTradeTV putting in $100. Also note that for every $100 donated, Matcherino will match it with $20. So that's pretty cool. Just gets a really nice prize pool for all the players joined up. Speaking of which, you have the bracket still waiting to be finalized, but quite a few. It's not the biggest bracket we've ever had, but it's a lot of really good names, so I'm actually not too upset with this. And a lot of really interesting names, too, that are going to be able to showcase, I guess, the true power that is the balance test mod. And then finally, before we really get into things, because this is on a delay and things still aren't quite ready, we're going to talk about the actual changes, which I had to ask to find, because it was a while ago that they came out with it, about a month ago at this point, right? Because it was at Montreal. Let's see here. We have the new ones are going to go into afterwards, but there's a lot to be said on the original iteration. So do you have this up, Fear Dragon?
I do.
Okay,
I
cool.
do.
All right, cool. So the Cyclone was changed, and you can see all the changes right here. Damage chain of 3 plus 3 versus armor damage, attacks once per 0.07 seconds, range increase from 5 to 6. I could go over all of these, but as I realize this is far too much to vocally go over, I'm just going to show you the gifts that they put in here, which is really nice. Took some ideas from Nice Username, I suppose, to showcase how different they look. So suddenly the Cyclone looks like it just demolishes and looks amazing, so that has some contribution to the whole mech is better thing that we've been hearing about.
Not looking forward to that. Already having like flashbacks of the beta where it's just cyclones all day, every day, and my Protoss army is literally just chasing them around and doing absolutely nothing.
Yep.
Yeah, this is gonna be fun.
The Siege tank had one of the biggest changes as well. So Siege mode being picked up by the medevac in Siege mode is now gone. But in exchange, we had the Siege tank's damage increased from 35 to plus 15 versus armored to 40 plus 30 versus armored. If you're trying to do me a favor and check out one of these amazing matches and get on hold for us.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. As we do have, I think, the bracket finalized. So yeah, you can see a image of what that looks like. So while they can't be moved around, which was originally the only way you would hold against Roach Ravager all lanes, they do so much more damage. You end up having 2 tanks left over instead of 4 Ravagers. Liberator and the Thor, these two have been quite the heated topics. Liberator more so for the Rapinus, and Thor for the fact that it's not very useful whatsoever. Feels bad. Liberator change, remove the lights damage for the anti-air attacks. So suddenly mutas actually aren't so bad anymore, as you can see here. The mutas actually end up winning out. The Thor change, anti-air splash for the Javelin missile, launcher's radius increased from 0.5 to 0.6, a little bit longer. And, oh, the anti-air... Oh, everything will be prioritized before the anti-ground weapon, though, Thor's hammer. Isn't that how it's always been? It changed.
Anti-air prioritize over anti-ground. Yeah, I feel like that was always the case.
Yeah.
It may not have been the case with the mode switch.
Maybe?
I'm not sure.
Well, now apparently the mutas absolutely die, is what I'm seeing in this image. So
We've removed Mutalists from the game.
I'm fine with that. There's actually so many to go into, so probably gonna get done about halfway before we have to jump into the game.
So, I did find a game. It's going to be a game that I think a lot of people are going to be like, this is going to be super one-sided. And I will say, like, a lot of the earlier matches, as it is with normally seeded brackets, are going to be slightly harder to find, like, super close matches. But Bly versus EJK, I'm actually looking forward to this just because, first of all, Bly will be always fun to watch, but EJK has actually, I think, is a sort of unique player in the sense that he stopped playing the regular game after the balance mod came out. He basically has just been playing the balance mod.
Oh.
So he's actually should have a lot of experience with it, and he's been going mech in every single matchup as far as I'm aware. So
Okay.
I think it could be kind of cool. It should be pretty interesting.
That is actually a really good series then. It'll be a best of 3, and I guess they'll be doing their vetoes, so we still have a few more minutes to wait. So continuing on, the Banshee removed the fusion core requirement for hyperflight rotors. That was additionally changed a couple of days ago. Where the Banshee's research hyperflight rotors upgrade time increased from 121 from 93. Okay, that was worded weird. All right, so it takes longer to research. The Viking suddenly is not useless on the ground. Check this shit out. +8 mechanical damage.
That is also really scary and weird. Like, I'm actually just wondering, like, okay, TVP is what I think most people will think about with that. I'm wondering if there's gonna be, like, weird things where Terran players even start making, like, Vikings early on versus, like, Zerg players, or, like, even versus other Terran players. Like, are you just gonna be using your Vikings to fight up, like, straight up siege tanks or something? How does this work?
It is gonna be interesting because you know, like sometimes you land on top of a siege tank and it takes forever to kill. Well, I don't know if you know, you're not a player, but you've seen it happen. Well, now it's gonna like instantly kill it. It's gonna be interesting. The battle cruiser, energy bar removed, so I guess you can't feedback it anymore. Not that it was ever really a problem. Cooldowns on Yamato cannon and tactical jump. So I knew about the tactical jump, but I didn't realize they also had a cooldown for the Yamato cannon, which really changed that up. 71 seconds each, so decent amount of time. And then you don't have the energy upgrade anymore, because what's the point? They're all on cooldown. No energy to be
I need to make
used.
this on the balance test custom mod, right?
It is a mod, yes.
What's it called?
Hold on. We're at the Raven. Let me just scooch on up here.
I'm like searching for balance.
Hold on. Let me take a crack at it.
There are a lot of mods.
In the balance test mod, balance version 1.1. What's the map?
New Gettysburg. And it'll be New Gettysburg, Apotheosis, and Frost if it goes to it.
Perhaps we'll be in top played. Please, faith. Nope, that didn't work out. It would be Blizzard approved. It says balance test mod version 1.36. Is that it? Guys.
I hope so.
Guys. Balance 1.
I like search for balance test, and I'm not getting it.
Yeah, I had to go to top play. I mean, the search function for Blizzard for Battle.net has been terrible forever, basically.
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess this just automatically updates. That's why it's just so blandly named. I'm gonna make a game though. Let's see if I'm right about
We're gonna
that.
just play on the wrong map.
Well, I'm gonna actually try and. Well, how would I even be able to tell? What would be the first thing changed? I'm not sure if we could tell.
Test mod.
I think this is what you do. Because that's why it's so blandly. Oh, here we go. Yes, we have the version. We have the patch notes. Anti-ground weapon heavily changed. The
Did you
Baneling
find
was
the map, by the way?
changed. Infestor was
Okay.
changed. Wait a minute. This has some of the changes, but not all of them? Oh, no, it has all of them.
Why is there an AI here?
Well, I was gonna play, and then I realized it would take forever for me to figure out if it was the right one or not.
Yeah.
Alright, so
Are we
Bly and
good?
EJK, right?
Is this it?
Yeah.
Okay,
Like,
cool.
If you go into...
Oh yeah, it's by Blizzard and everything. Cool,
Yeah.
we're good.
Yeah. So... well, I guess to quickly summarize... Or actually just shotgun through all these changes. So the siege tank was changed. Oh, we're at the Raven. The Raven, like Terran, I feel has gotten the most changes, but it could be wrong. I've been on Terran for a very long time. No, I'm pretty sure they did. The Raven, auto turret damage was increased. Suddenly they're good. The Tempest had a bunch of changes where its supply count was finally raised. It has Disruption Sphere, which fires a thingamajigger at the ground. Does a lot of damage, and you can see that it actually kind of tangos, I suppose, with all of these units in this little GIF. Control the battlefield with Disruption Sphere, that's what they're trying to highlight there. Zealot Research Charge upgrade will now increase the Zealot's movement speed from 3.85 to 4.13, so they get like Zealot legs as well as Zealot Charge, which is cool, I guess. I don't know, whatever. The Carrier, remove the release interceptor ability, which I'm really interested in why they did that. It had negative effect in the game. It had no effect in the game. No one built carriers, whatever. Cost reduced from 25 minerals to 5 minerals, and auto build is enabled from the starts.
Yeah.
I don't know about
That
the
was
auto build,
a
whatever.
pretty big change for carriers. Like they are actually way better in a lot of ways because they're way more cost efficient.
Yeah. Dark Templar, of course, had one of the biggest changes that was revealed, and the room, by the way, at the Community Summit was just, like, shock when this was announced. But they have Blink, basically. It's called Shadow Stride. It teleports short distance. It is a research from the Dark Shrine. Cooldown. Creates a visible smoke effect upon being cast, which is kind of interesting, I suppose. You can kind of see it happen, I guess. You can kind of prepare for it. Yeah, okay. It's like the campaign. Finally, on the Zerg, the Swarm Host cost is reduced, and the range of their air locusts, of course, has been increased. The Ravager now is armored. So that makes it very interesting. You see the Stalkers actually went out this time versus the Ravagers. The Hydralisk attack range got increased, so only if Hydralisk had more range. The Muscular Augments will give range as well as a base movement speed of 25%. And the movement speed will be effective the same as other units while on creep. Yeah, because now it's got a boost on both off and on creep. Or the same boost on creep, better boost off creep. There you go. The Baneling, health increase from 30 to 40. As you can see, they take out a lot more Marines here. The Infestor did have tunneling thingy, deep tunnel. It's been removed though, so don't worry about that. Also, they changed something that wasn't originally changed. But the shade vision for adepts reduced to 2 from 9. So that's gonna be a lot harder to get some scouting with that. But that was back in the Protoss. So can cast all abilities while burrowed. That's a big change. And has a collision radius while burrowed, but smaller than normal. I wonder how that's gonna look. And finally, the Broodlord range reduced from 11 to 10. So there you go. There's a shotgun of everything. You can check it out by yourselves on the BattleNet. But now we're ready to go.
Yes, we are finally getting started. And I think the matchups that I have thought about the most usually involve Protoss somehow, just because I'm a Protoss player. But I really am wondering, like, how does ZBT look in this new sort of meta with all of these changes in place? I think that like it's probably seen one of the fewest changes.
The TvZ?
Yeah, TvZ.
Well, I guess there's the Baneling, but the biggest change is, of course, just
That's
going to
true.
be, in general, the fact that you're going to be going mech a lot more. Which maybe
Yeah.
that means... Oh, is Bly looking at the things right now? Like, is he not actually checked?
Yeah, he was telling me like, "Hey, do you have a link to the changes?" Because like, I don't
Amazing.
really remember most of them, and I'm like, okay, this is gonna be a treat. We have someone who's been playing the balance test map a lot, and versus someone who has not been playing it at all.
Amazing. I am actually so happy that Bly isn't. Because Bly is going to try so many... Bly would be the first person to read, like, oh, they changed Burrow, let me use that. And they even read that they changed it, like, in a negative way. And he's going to be like, oh, shit. That they have. But that would be the type of guy that I'd imagine him to be. But thank you, really quick, while we get stuck on the loading screen, actually, to Billy Bob, Billy987 Bob, for the 8-month resub. Ace Kate, love you guys. Can't wait for more content. And Twitch Lights also messed up, thought you were a new sub, so that happens. Ness 8 bits, resub for 19 months. And Solidus Dub, resub for 31 months.
Woo!
Woo, that is a long time. Here in our best of 3. First map is on New Gettysburg in the bottom right. As the red Zerg, he's Bly.
And in the bottom left, we have the Teal Terran player. It's EJK. Oh my god, I can just set my vision on you finally.
Oh yeah,
couldn't do that in replays.
I always hated that. Of course, I've been observing for over a month now, so like I'm a little used to it, I guess.
Oh my god, I'm always observing, so like whenever I get to not observe, I'm just like, this is amazing. I guess just like watch the game.
Oh. Yeah, it's nice. I kind of miss it. One day Rifkin will be back in full form, you know, with his cybernetic arms. Yep.
Cybernetic arms.
Yep. Yeah, I'm gonna rebuild him better, faster, stronger.
Better at StarCraft. Higher APM.
I don't know about that. I'm just kidding. Alright, mine. So I'd like to remind you, after all of that big spiel about the changes here, the game is mostly the same. I want to, like, this isn't quite as big a leap from Heart of the Storm to Legacy of the Void, where people were coming in like, what the hell are so many workers? It's still mostly the same, but it is a lot of big unit changes. But that this is all being funded by Matcherino, and if you want to give more money to your favorite players, going to be paying out to the top 4, then you can donate. If the codes aren't all used, you can also just freely donate kind of $1 using code BIRTHDAY to Matcherino. If they all have been used, then that's fantastic, exactly what we want. But we do also want to give these players, I guess, as much money as possible. And if you want to throw some money in because you think Bly is going to absolutely win this because you love Bly and you want to give him as much money as possible, then you can go there and donate and leave a nice message or cheer, whatever you want to do. It is, I would say it's usually pretty likely Bly gets top 4, but as you were talking about, like, EJK having been playing nothing but this mod should have really good advantages here. Like, skill will be covering some things, and Bly is a very skilled player, but to give for instance, you see this Reaper come in, you know, me and Rifkin, not the greatest players in the world, certainly not Grandmaster. Maybe if he really super hardcore tried. We got Grandmaster and Archon, and we would commonly... Oh, there goes the Reaper. We would commonly beat, like, pro gamers in the beginning of Legacy of the Void because we knew what was abusive. We knew that Lings with plus 40% attack speed was going to just demolish everything. And that's actually, with the drastic changes on individual units, should be something that EJK can take advantage of, too, against Bly.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm also actually looking forward to, even though I don't know how much he's been playing, but Beast Security, because I think him and EJK are both pretty well versed in just going for mech. EJK has been going for mech even since long before any of these balance changes got announced.
Yeah.
So he should have like more experience than just, oh, I've started doing this style, and like there's a lot of other things I have to get used to. No, there's still a lot of similarities between the new mech and the old mech that I think they'll both be able to take advantage of.
Yeah, that is a good point. I do know EJK's been like that. So, Bly does get a really good scout and a mule and an SCV. Because we are using the balance test mod, we're not going to have any type of game heart, which kind of sucks, but we'll learn. So he sees the second factory and gets a bit of a, you know, a boon too as well with those SCV kills. But Bly is just going to do what Bly does, and he's going to go for what he's been doing lately in the regular game, which is 2-base Spire. Now, this is going to be interesting because you had takeaways and gives to different units to combat Mutalisk. The Liberator is no longer the answer, but now the Thor is a bit better. But a Thor so early on this game isn't exactly ideal. How is the Cyclone going to hold up? Back in Legacy of the Void Beta, it actually wasn't that good, and then it was really good, and then it wasn't that good, and then it was really good, because the Cyclone changed a billion times.
So the interesting thing about the way that the Cyclone works now, for those who don't know, is that the lock-on only targets air units. So it still works against Mutalisk. And it still does 160 damage over 14 seconds, can eventually kill a Mutalisk. But it's not going to be like the immediate, oh, surefire way to just murder and obliterate Mutalisk by any means.
Well, attacking in here, this might just be an attack, like, who expects this so early on? But the Hellions are supposed to cover the Cyclones from the Lings. This is an attack used literally in the first week of Legacy of the Void beta, in the first show match of Legacy of the Void beta, except it was Hercs instead of Hellions, or instead of Cyclones, forget which one. It's not a lot, though, you know, and with the Queen range and just a solid defense of the Spine Crawler, this was enough to take care of it. But oh, this went too soon. The Hellions get in. 2 of them die to drones. How embarrassing. 3 of them die to drones. Wow.
Oh.
Yeah, wow.
Hellions continue trying to get some good shots, but really not finding a whole lot over here, so... At least he gets a scout out on the Mules, confirms it, and he's already starting up Widow Mines, interestingly enough. He does have a Tech Lab factory that he could start producing a Thor out of. No, actually, wait. No, he can't produce an... Oh, yeah, the armory's just finishing up, I see.
Yeah. Now he can, though.
Yeah.
If he wants to. I don't know, man. He also didn't have an engineering base, so the missiles are only just not coming down. This has been, unfortunately, a little mistimed, but as you were talking about, the Cyclones can still lock on to air, so they are that first defense... or second line of defense. Well, basically they're out, right? Like, they're the only thing that EJK has, and he's gonna use them to the best of his ability. There finally is that Thor, though.
Yeah, and the Thor will be really nice, just helping to chase this away. For those who are wondering, what's the major change to the Thor? There's a little bit of changing, and sounds like with the prioritization of what units they attack, but most importantly, they upgraded the radius, and it seems like a really small upgrade. It's like from 0.5 to 0.6 radius, but it makes a ridiculous amount of difference, because suddenly magic boxing your Mutalisk isn't really enough to just make sure you don't take a lot of splash damage.
Yeah, yeah. It was kind of the best benefit of the Liberator, besides plus attack and whatnot, was that its splash is just so much better. The magic box against like 3 Liberators just looking to have a bad time. Back, in the regular version of this, but maybe not so against the Thor too. Well, he seems like he's covered versus the Mutalisk, but Bly, maybe having read his, the limited amount he did read on the patch notes, went very quickly into Invitation Pit, trying to find it here. There we go, and he is going to go for Swarm Hosts. Trying to bring these back.
Alright, well, for those who are wondering, Swarm Hosts do cost... Oh, we'll hold that thought. Mutalisk coming in, murdering a ton of these mules. This is sort of what I kind of expect to have happen. I expect Bly to... I mean, no offense to EJK, Bly is still just straight up considered like a much better player by a lot of means. So I'm expecting him to get a lot of these other wins, and I'm expecting EJK to come in and try and play abusive styles with units that Bly's just not expecting. It is worth noting, though, the Swarmos do cost 50 less minerals and 25 less gas, and they have an increased swoop range. So these little locusts that are in the air will actually attack from a further distance away. It's upgraded from 4 to 6.
Yeah. The cooldown on the Locust has not been changed, though, and that was, and might still continue to be, the biggest reason not to get them. They're almost like harassment units a lot of the time, but with such slow movement speed, not the slowest, but still slow. They're not Mutalisk, basically, that it's always dangerous to do that. Overseer actually did see that Widow Mine, so they wasted themselves all here, and that's it for a while, And while they're cheaper, so you can get more of them, it's still, is it really the right unit to get?
He's got to be careful with these Swarmos, because if he moves too close to those Sea Shanks, remember, Sea Shanks now do 70 damage versus armored unit, which Swarmos are, so he does not want to be losing those anytime soon.
Swarmos not looking too impressive so far, but all it takes is one time that's no one's paying attention, into the main or into the third or into the fourth, whenever that comes down, and suddenly they kill a command center, so they can be deadly. He's already lost one, though.
Mutas versus Vikings. Mutas are going to be able to take those guys out. Missile turret not doing a whole lot. Widowmine is going to be on cooldown for a little bit, so Bly's finding an opportunity. Picks off a Siege Tank, might get a second one. Thor's a bit out of position, and now the Locusts come in.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You're going to take out the missile turret and pop that Widowmine so maybe the Mutas can get out now. I really want to see Bly try and Magic Box with Thor, just to see the difference, and also maybe the shock on his face if we had player cams, but what's funny is that he has been maximizing and perfecting his Muta Micro against Liberators to a point where Liberators aren't the answer to Bly either, like in the regular game. So they're definitely going to be the helpful answer here. It's going to be more about those Thors and Widow Mines, but I would like to see him trying to go up against a Thor again. These are now Blue Flame Hellions, so racking that kill count up to 20, but compared to the 22 of Bly's, he's really just eating things up here. Oh, the Widow Mines! Whoopsie. Oh, jeez.
For those who are wondering, since we do have some of the Hydralisks now out, Hydrals did have a couple of buffs as well. We had Hydra range going up from 5 attack range to 6, which is a pretty big deal. And then Muscular Augments will actually give another +1 range. So they go up to a total of 7 range. And they get a movement speeding, of course, the movement speed increase of like 25%.
Yeah, off of creep too, so. They can be actually pretty fast, which means there's a lot more micro capability. Yeah, there's a lot more micro capability, not just on the defensive while on creep, of course, but also off creep, which means they're no longer lagging behind quite as much with the Routers and Routers in front. They can actually get a concave set up as opposed to just coming in grouped up. It gives them a lot more potential as a main unit, you know, similar to what they were in Brood War, but they still don't have a lot of health, so they still are glass cannons, and they're still kind of expensive too.
It's so weird, just like, think back to what Wings of Liberty, and look at now, and you just think, we used to think about Hydrals as being the really, really slow units of the Zerg army. They used to be like the limiting factor of mobility, and now look at them.
Speeding. We'll see them more in action, I suppose, later, but Bly has really been... Oh, there you go. Bly has been controlling this game with a very limited amount of units. It was a Swarm host that honestly didn't even do that much. It was more about the mutas, keeping EJK on the back foot. And while EJK has managed to get to 4 bases, it is at the cost of a decent army supply. And any pressure really to Bly, you know, a couple of drones here and there did not really bother Bly that much. So Bly is already on a lot of tech, up to Ultralisk. He's already almost maxed out here, but this is where we have to remember that while the Hydras can get maybe a bit more of a concave and retreat faster, tanks deal so much damage now. So
yeah.
I mean, you know, they got that versus armor thing going for them. There's no roaches for them to hit, but they still are going to take down Hydras very quickly. Only still 80 health, and no upgrades quite yet there.
Yeah, we'll still two-shot the Hydralis, and we do have the Swarmos coming in on the south side. Hydra's preparing to move in at the north side. It looks like a couple of Widow Mines will at least soften up some of these Locust waves, but the Locusts are going to be able to do a decent amount of damage over here, and Bly is really making the most of them.
I just really want to move in, but I don't think it's happening, man. Like, that's also a planetary. So even if you broke everything else, what are you going to have left?
Oh, EJK is choicing down the Stormhouse with 3 Siege Tank and a couple of Hellions. Oh, this is a really interesting move. Is he just going to siege up the Siege Tanks on the bridge?
Maybe. But they could be caught from behind, so I don't know.
Yeah. By the way, Ultralisk, suddenly in the Legacy of the Void, not going to do quite as well when Siege Tanks are literally doing 80-some damage versus them.
Yeah. Tanks were already a decent response,
oh my
to be
god.
honest.
Oh my god.
Plus
those
there's ghosts.
Are Chitinous Plating Ultralisks. Those are Chitinous Plating Ultralisks.
Yeah, they're not quite maxed out on 3-3, but as I was saying, tanks already did a decent job. You know, if you could get 7+, they were actually pretty good, especially because a lot of the times Ultras would clump up, you know, going through a choke or something like that. Now, with the additional attack on Armored, I really like they were hardly an answer to mech in the first place. I really don't think they're going to be an answer to mech here. I actually don't know what the answer to mech is going to be quite. Like, Bly did a great job keeping EJK down like 80 supply for a large portion of this game, but it was a slow crawl like any mech play. And now that he's almost, well, he's getting maxed out, I suppose. I'm a little worried. Like, Bly might have been toying with his food a little bit, thinking like, this is fine, this is fun. What's he gonna do to actually break EJK?
Yeah, that is the big problem with the mech style is, or I guess facing off versus the mech style is that you have trouble when they get up that big, massive army. And that's sort of what EJK has been able to get up to. He's getting up the dream composition. He's got Cyclones, which, by the way, still do that extra damage versus Armored now. We have Ghosts that are just come in, just saying, Bly, you made a mistake. Ultralisks, they're a mistake to make now.
Yeah. Yeah. This is tricky. This is, the Swarm hosts are not a terrible, oh no, the Hydras though. No, those aren't, those aren't free units, buddy. Now Bly is banking a lot, so he can make mistakes like that every now and then, but the Locusts, you know, they're gonna be decent at trying to help here, or like back in Heart of the Swarm, right? Like, free units against the immovable mech army is helpful, but with such a long cooldown, once their attack is used, if EJK is like, okay, unsieges and follows suit, Bly's gonna have, on a big map like this, maybe 3 Locust waves until he just has to, you know, he gets stuck in a corner or starts losing bases. And I don't know if that'll be enough against what EJK has.
Broodlords are an interesting choice. Now, Broodlords also got a bit of a buff. They went from from 10 range to 11 range. So it's a very, very minor range buff. I almost would love to also see Infestors, though, because you have to remember, Infestors now can cast all of their abilities while burrowed. So if your opponent doesn't actually have a Raven or any missile turrets down, you can actually get a big fungal growths off on, say, a good chunk of Ghost, or you could actually Neuroparasite while burrowed, take over like a Ghost and EMP all the rest of them.
That would be pretty cool. Doubtful that's gonna happen, but I wish it would. Just specifically on a Ghost. I think they might be able to take on like a couple of Thors or Siege Tanks, but it is turning into that mass air game though, and I do think Fungals popping out of the ground would be amazing to have. Also, Fungals on those Ghosts, don't forget, still the same mechanic as they are in the regular Legacy of the Void game, but all of their snipes have pretty much already gone down, and Bly lost this fight overall. He does have the bigger, faster Remax though, so did he really lose it? Oh, actually the Broodlord's still alive, huh?
Yeah,
I thought they were all gonna die.
Say, all the ghosts got killed off, and that was pretty much majority of the anti-air. There's 2 ghosts still left around on the high or the low ground, but look at that locust count.
He saved it in 10 medevacs. Not a bad idea. I'm surprised he got any medevacs at all. Oh, but that planetary.
Down the planetary.
Oh god, there's no hope for that one. So, yeah, EJK just missing, you know, 6 more snipes or 6 more Vikings, either one, to kill those Broodlords. Lost him a big chunk of the ground army. Those Swarm must be useless. Yeah. Oh my god, they're actually gonna burrow! I kind of forgot they could burrow. Like, you don't see that anymore. Alright, so EJK's still holding at 150 supply is not bad, and he still has this base to fall back on. Oh, I got my TwitchCon tickets.
Hey, nice.
In other news. But he did just take a pretty devastating blow. He really does need that base to continue getting another maxed out army, and Bly is just kind of winning the same way you'd win versus Mech any other expansion, any other version of the game, which is out expanding your opponents and throwing units at them. So that worked that one time. I would say the EJK got a little too far forward with his Ghosts and was caught just before he was maxed out with like enough Vikings. So that could all be fixed for another fight, but it is going to be a long, hard battle back to max for him.
Yeah, you know what would be really cool to see out of EJK at this point, since he really does want to be winning that air battle? Battle cruisers. Battle cruisers.
Battle cruisers, like, they take a lot of shots. They can soak up a lot of corruptors. Their problem usually ends up being they get pulled by Vipers, which you don't have yet.
But there's tactical jump on cooldown now. You can actually just like immediately retreat them, but looks like it's not gonna get there.
I'm gonna say mass lings can sometimes be the answer when you don't think they will be. But ghosts and tanks are all that are left, so that was a perfect idea.
Well, that is game number 1. I did find the mod finally by just sorting by Blizzard only mods. So I can make the next game, which I believe was going to be on Apotheosis? No. Yeah, Apotheosis. Cool. I also remember now that when they released the mods, they had a couple other mods that they released, like the Wandering Minerals mod. I really enjoyed that mod.
I didn't play that one. Oh shoot, I didn't even realize that. Damn it. Aha.
Right. Game, invite to game. You know, I do wonder, with the fact that this is like a balanced test map, do players care if the match history is hidden?
Probably not. I don't think Bly minds that everyone saw he went 30 Swarmhosts.
He went pretty heavy on Swarmhosts, yeah.
I hate to replace him so often. Well, I'm ready whenever.
Alright, we're getting started. Apotheosis, game number 2. So, in that last game though, like, EJK kind of got out macroed. I feel like that's pretty safe to say, but the same time, like, he had a pretty scary looking army. What do you think went wrong with that main big engagement where he did fall really far behind in supply?
I think he was just caught on the brink of being ready for the air. He had his starports and he was getting Vikings. Also, like I said, the Ghost being on the front lines like that, always a dangerous move. And probably a couple more of them had a couple more snipes, but they died or were interrupted by the Broodlings. So
Yeah.
all those could be fixed. He's maxed out a little bit quicker, something like that. And I could see him doing decently. That still doesn't mean he would win the game overall, because Bly had a lot of room to keep on throwing units at him, but could have been closer. Alright. Apotheosis. A big map, another big map to play to EJK's mech here, I think. And in the top left, up one, he is the Red Zerg Bly.
And in the bottom right, we have the teal Terran player. It's EJK. It's sort of interesting to talk about how it's a long map and that might play out well toward EJK's meching style. But at the same time, like, isn't this a map that generally a lot of Zerg players love right now in the normal version of Legacy of the Void? Just because of how long of a map it is and how much time it buys them to go for that sort of ling bling muta style, which actually makes me think, are we going to see Banelings this game?
I think it only works in the Zerg's favor because Bio-Terran revolves a lot around mid-game attacks and pushes and harassments, and it's really hard to push on this map. If the Terran's plan is to just sit back and get to 5 bases, then they're as Gucci as the Zerg player with the same plan against Bio. It could be the reverse of roles. Maybe Bly will try and kill EJK before he gets to 4 bases or max that army. Or it could be they're suddenly going to have the same roles, whereas, you know, Bly's going like, oh, I'm going to be the defensive player. Are you going to be the defensive player? All right, then we're both going to be defensive. And it gets to, like, that split map scenario, which we did see a couple of times. Back when this map was first introduced, people looked at it and they saw ramps and chokes and, you know, a linear map and thought that mech could do very well, and they tried it, and then, well, you know, mech is not that great in Legacy of the Void, so they kind of died off, but it was attempted, and I think it'd be attempted again here by EJK.
Yeah, I have no doubt in my mind that EJK is going to go for a mech style again. Getting up to Marines this game, just because I think Reapers, it take a long time to move across the map, and he can just go for the SCV scout to confirm what Bly's doing, and from there, probably just going to try and get out as fast of a factory as possible, start getting out those Cyclones again. And I do wonder also, like, in that last game, I don't think he really ever got super aggressive with the Cyclones. Do you think that's something you can really do in the matchup right now?
I think so. So you have, what is funny, as you go into, it's like back when the Queen range was upgraded, but you already had Snoot going 16 queens and abusing the hell out of him anyway, and then he got upgraded, and you're like, well, shit. In Legacy of the Void, without this test mod, you have Cyclones coming back in a huge fashion because of the Koreans, right? Showcasing them in their leagues in Shoutcraft, and people are experimenting with them in all 3 matchups. And then you get into a balance mod that has improved the Cyclone. I would be shocked if the more people play on this, when matchmaking comes in, you know, etc., I'd be shocked if Mass Cyclone was not attempted to be used and perfected. Really shocked.
Yeah. You know, the Cyclone changes are actually pretty thoroughly done, in the sense that they are not the same Cyclones they were before. And I don't just mean that in the sense that, oh, they changed a couple of numbers. Like, it is a very different, it's like a different design in the sense that they have a different ground attack from their air lock-on that they originally had. But that also means, like, that they just have a ground attack. And it does extra damage versus armored units, which is cool, but, like, it does very little damage per shot. It doesn't have, like, exactly the same range as it used to. There's a lot of things that changed, and I sort of do wonder, like, there are probably a lot of ways that the Cyclone's better, but I wonder if there's also some now ways that the Cyclone's worse that can actually also be abused.
Yeah. That's kind of what I hope people are going to experiment with, though. So I think they're going to try and perfect it, and they're going to try and abuse it, just like they did back when the Cyclone was, you know, Legacy of the Void beta for 8 months. Ooh, heavily rotors.
Ooh.
But it might not be that good, and people will realize that by the time the patches are actually released, right? By the time this game actually pops out after BlizzCon, so it might change heavily, but I would be really surprised if no one tried to abuse them. And it's not about Cyclones this game, it's about air this game. So Hyperflight rotors now no longer needs a fusion core, so you can get it a little bit quicker. It does take a little bit longer to research, just kind of like the switch up, but you don't have to put the minerals and gas into a fusion core. I'm just curious if he's going to go for more starports, and well, he is. So it is going to be that starport mech that can be broken, mind you. Not easily, but like it can be broken before he even gets to 3 bases.
I'm honestly just excited about this because I'm hoping that this leads into battle cruisers because I am really honestly very excited for battle cruisers. You and I have both experienced like the bullshit that is Rifkin's like stupid builds where he goes for like these weird battle cruiser harassments, and it's one of those things like, you know what, regardless of your league, you just start to realize when you face off against that when you have a battle cruiser just teleport into one of your mineral lines and your army's on the other side of the map, how do you actually deal with that? It's legitimately like not an easy unit to deal with.
I have not played against Rifkin in a long time.
Oh my god!
All I do
so
is
lucky.
I hear about shit. Yeah, I know that. But I haven't gotten his battle cruiser warp-ins. So the Banshee comes in here, and this is gonna, you know, be helped by its speed bonus. But the Lings flood in at the same time, and Banshees do still have some trouble cleaning Lings up. Hellions don't, though. At least shouldn't.
Ooh, good hold position on these SCVs, though. None of them really going down, as he just has some of those Marines trapped in between the SCVs.
Yeah, 6 in total.
Banshee on the other side of the map doesn't have Cloak, by the way, which is super interesting.
You only had Tech Lab for 1 upgrade, man.
Yeah, it's really weird though, because one of the biggest advantages of Hyperflight rotors is that you can outrun an Overseer.
Yeah, that was one of the first things we discovered. It wasn't about outrunning a Corruptor, it's about outrunning an Overseer, which was silly. So you're right, Cloak is really important. I'm surprised that, you know, okay, you got the speed first. That's a choice he made. I'm surprised he's not getting the Cloak at all. But the Hellions try and come in here and just get absolutely demolished. Got 8 drones for their efforts, so that was a lot of Hellions.
Yeah, Banshee in the main base does go down since he was busy microing the Banshee over at the gold expansion. And he gets a couple of workers, but I guess the most important thing is that he's able to establish a 3rd expansion behind this and probably just wants to continue to build up his army. The problem is he's focusing on building up this air army, but he's also using that air army to harass, so just look at back at home, he has nothing.
It's not a very big army supply. I mean, Bly's isn't too big either, but he's only on the cusp of like that big production, as he's only just recently reached 60 drones and 4 bases. So that should explode faster than EJK's production, especially because it is starport production. We have a fusion core, which I don't know if that's gonna be for battlecruisers or for Liberator range.
I want it to be for battlecruisers so badly.
He's getting too many Liberators. Thank you to Lol Hopsy, by the way. I don't think we shouted him out for the 613 sub.
They just gave him Liberators because he needs to do something with the starport.
There you go.
I wanted to be hopeful.
Yeah, too bad. Thank you to Darth Silius for the 21-month resub. Yeah, doing some decent work here, bringing that kill count up to 12 for EJK. There you go.
Yeah, continued Zergling counterattacks over here from Bly, just trying to catch EJK a little bit off guard, catching him while he's maybe a little bit out of position, just because even though, yes, you're very far away from your opponents, your bases do start to feel a bit spread out. If you have Zerglings that manage to make their way into the main base or even the natural, away from your 3rd expansion and where your army will be sitting, you can really end up taking quite a bit of damage before you actually get in position to defend.
I guess Scan's going down to see where his Banshees can actually pressure, but the answer is not a lot of places, especially without that Cloak. And while like 6 Banshees can take on a Spore Crawler no problem, there's Queens always around to transfuse, and it's not usually a worthwhile trade. Unless the army's really, really out of position, you're gonna get a lot from it. Speaking of which, army's in position here. Liberators do not do a lot of damage. Lings are going to that 3rd base. The Lings aren't doing too much. They're just denying mining for the most part, but 20 SCVs in total now.
You know, I would argue that the most important thing that the Zerglings are doing, even more so than the damage, is that EJK has been continuing to put on this harassment with his own Banshees and the Liberators and everything. And this is sort of just taxing his APM, because we've seen a lot of times that he has the Hyperflight Rotor Banshees that could have been microed away, but he's busy dealing with a Zergling counterattack or something, and he ends up losing those very expensive units.
That's a good point. Yeah. Now, Bly is now on 5 bases, just about, in a hive. He has been bulking up a Ling Hydra army, which is kind of curious. Again, the soft units here, but enough speed you off the creep.
Yeah. Hydral's trying to push in forward, picking off a couple of Liberators here and there, killing off some of the Hellions.
Damn.
Yeah, seriously, 7 range is kind of crazy.
They can go around. That's what I try and do.
Oh.
The Hellions go back to those links, and this is exactly what you're talking about. So Liberators will go down. One. Nope, not quite 2. Hydra's not that fast.
Zergan's also doing a bit of counterattack damage over the 3rd. Hydral is getting on top of all the Liberators, and EJK just doesn't have anything. See? Hydral is pretty buff. Yeah, he was talking about that actually at the very beginning of the series. He was like, don't worry about anything else, just make a lot of Hydralis. Yes, kind of works.
Yeah, I can see what he means. Like, range and speed upgrade does not sound as useful as like a straight up damage boost, right? But when you consider the micro capabilities, it can sometimes be in the same sense a damage boost. Like, he would not have killed all those Hellions otherwise, or shouldn't have been able to. I think we're going into a round of 8 match right now, which Olivia has saved for us. So we're going to go to a quick break and get back to you guys with, I think, Mana versus Laser, actually. See you soon.
Ooh.